Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton, Greg White with you here on Supply Chain Now. Greg, you're looking at me in an accusatorily manner. Did I do something wrong?
No, that's because I have bad vision and I squint all the time. That's why I always look angry.
Well,
Trying to get a good look at you.
Size me up.
Too vain to wear glasses.
Well, we've got a wonderful conversation teed up here today on the Supply Chain Buzz. Welcome to our live stream. So a special edition, so the Supply Chain Buzz every Monday, 12 noon, happens like clockwork, like taxes, like the tide coming in and coming out right on time.
Not like taxes. It's much better than that. Now I'm looking at you accusatorily.
Okay. I'm glad you could say that word. I couldn't. Accusatorily.
Is that even a word, I wonder?
Well, we just coined it, which is nothing new to us here, especially on the Buzz. But today's a special edition, right? It is International Women's Day, which is part of Women's History Month. We got two incredible guests that are doing great work in their own industry, but also doing a tremendous amount of work giving forward, as Greg has coined here. And it's the first time. So Meaghan is with us here today. Meaghan Timko, first time guest, but we've got a repeat guest, one of our favorites, Allison Krache Giddens. We finally tracked down her agent. We got booked. It took some Benjamin Franklin's, I think. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm kidding. But she's one of our favorite guests, and she's with us here today. Yeah, they're doing big things in the industry, and really helping the others out. And we love that story, don't we, Greg?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's so much that Allison's doing, and clearly she had a great role model because we've also met her mother, right?
That's right.
So,
former CNN producer extraordinaire.
Yeah, and she snuck into a show recently, but who knows? Anything could happen today.
Anything could happen, even maybe some tacos talk. We'll save that. We'll save all that for later. I don't want to further divide your attention. Well, hey, if y'all can't tell, it's been a great week already here at Supply Chain Now. We're just now getting started. And of course, we've got a lot to celebrate. A day, a month, all that's never enough. But right. I've really enjoyed the regular focus. It brings a little focus. It brings some targeted conversations. You learn things and you become grateful for things that may have been in your blind spot. And that's what I love about days like this. But let's do this. I want to make sure. So I'm going to bring this in here if I can. So, of course, Women's History Month 2021. But I want to pose this, and we're going to say hello to a few folks here momentarily. I want to pose this question because I'd love to get your comments to come in, and we're gonna roll through those comments before we bring on our guests. So, who would you like to honor today on International Women's Day 2021? Give us a name, give us a blurb, tell us why they were important to you, what they did, or if it's someone that maybe you didn't know personally. Like an Eleanor Roosevelt, or you name it. Feel free to drop in those role models into the comments, and we'll go through as many as we can before we bring our guests on. So, Greg, does that challenge make sense?
I think it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Sorry, I'm not even sure what to say. I have such a long list of people, known and unknown, that I would love, or not familiar, whatever, that I'd love to honor. And I agree with you, Scott. A day, a month, a year, always is sufficient, I think. Right?
Insufficient, I think you meant.
Well, always is the only thing that is sufficient.
William Shakespeare here today on the Supply Chain Buzz, Greg. I love it.
Wilhelmina Shakespeare, maybe.
That's right. Well, hey, so drop these in the comments. We'd love to honor those that you'd like to honor. And we've got to, again, stay tuned for two wonderful guests. But let's make a few housekeeping, some program notes before we dive into a neat conversation. So first up, Industry 4.0. It's been here. It's nothing new, right? It's already in action. It's been in action for a while. Join Greg and I on March 23rd as we got Mike Lackey with SAP and Tobias Hoffmeister with MHP Americas. That's going to give some really neat and creative and new examples of how Industry 4.0 is really driving the bottom line, driving growth and success. So join us for that. The link is in the show notes, March 23rd. Today's podcast, Greg, have you had a chance to listen to the podcast we dropped today?
I haven't. I have been slammed mostly because not on National Women's Day, the top 100 women in supply chain dropped by Supply Chain Digital. So I spent a lot of time going through that, learning who all of those nominees, candidates, whatever they're called, honorees are. So, yeah, I haven't, but I'm looking forward to it.
It is a wonderful, frank, practical, been there, done that conversation. Crystal Davis is she's a rock and roll star, and she weighs in on a lot of continuous improvement and leadership best practices, including she spent 17 amongst her experiences, 17 years in automotive. And as we talked about on the podcast, that's like 47 years in any other industry, but just a dynamo. And she shares one mistake that she sees constantly made in organizations that are trying to wrap their heads around really successful, practical continuous improvement. So y'all check that out on the main channel. Fantastic. I'm hoping we can get Crystal back on a webinar in May. We'll see.
Remember when TQM, Total Quality Management, and Continuous Improvement were the mantra of the day? I think we don't use the words anymore, but it's become so ingrained as part of the culture of so many companies that it is really, really relevant.
Yeah, well said, Greg, as always. Also today, this week in business history, Kelly Barner, I should have added her name there. Kelly Barner subbed in on the show today. She does a wonderful job not only creating a really engaging, interesting script of kind of a look back, and how she delivers it. Really, it's very nicely done. And today's episode dropped earlier on This Week in Business History. The Mustang, Greg, the Mustang.
Fred.
I don't know what made me think of Fred, but did you ever own a Ford Mustang, Greg?
I did not, but virtually every one of my friends in high school did. And the venerable 64.5 was owned by the family of my best friend, Brian Detain. So
nice. Well, Kelly comes from a long line of Mustang owning family members, and she touches on that and some other neat things. So check that out.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
How did that not ever come out? Okay, that's great. So you can learn something about people who are telling you about history.
That is right. Wonderful episode. Kelly Barner knocks it out. And Greg,
you
mentioned it. Supply Chain Digital released a top 100 women in technology, FinServe, and supply chain today. And the full, at least I didn't see the whole list prior to going live here today. However, I got my hands on the one page that to me I value the most, because Amanda Luton was recognized on that list. And I'll tell you, Greg, and you know this, many folks on the team, Clay's here and Allison is with us, or Natalie rather is with us. Amanda's always behind the scenes, just like she is today, right? Making things happen. Yeah. And it's always about spotlighting others, always about amplifying others' voices. And she's been, it goes without saying, instrumental in terms of the growth of our digital media platform, which is built to spotlight all the people that make global business happen. So this is huge. I'm so proud, and words never do me well. And when you're so proud of a significant other like this, but well deserved, Amanda. High five from the whole team, and we're so proud, Greg.
Well, literally the original voice of supply chain, because she did our original intros and outros and that sort of thing. So how about that? I mean, for being there at the beginning, right?
That's right.
I mean, I think, you're right. It's that sometimes you don't really, unsung heroes, right? You don't really recognize those folks who really, really make it happen. It's the talking heads like us who get all the glory, but lots of other people make it happen.
Agreed. And we can't say enough, but we're pretty humble about stuff like this here. It's just part of our nature. And just Amanda, great job. So well deserved. And we appreciate all that you do.
And one quick shout out to one female supply chain leader, not in the top 100, probably should be or will be next time around, on her first day at work. Cindy Lago, new managing director of supply chain practice at EY, Ernst & Young Consulting, formerly of Capgemini, also host here of Full Access, our Women Leaders in Supply Chain show. And, clearly a leader. If you've ever seen any of the shows that she's on, she's an established retailer, outstanding knowledge in supply chain. One of my people that I would, of course, want to honor, especially on this day, aside from all the women in my family.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Cindy Lago is special, and this is a huge role that she's stepping into, and we expect more big things, and we look forward to going through her agent, booking some more time too, and getting her latest observations really soon. So congrats.
We'll have our people call her people.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if I have any people, but I'll go with it, Greg.
Right.
All right. So let's say hello to a few folks here today. We're so happy to have all of y'all join us on a special day. Anna Mary Sandoval, who's also part of the Atlanta Supply Chain City. Great to see you. She's already got 3 cups of coffee, and only 3, Anna Mary, only 3. Come on. Rashid is tuned in via LinkedIn. Great to have you here with us, Rashid. Mervin. Hey, Mervin, thanks so much for reaching out on LinkedIn. Sounds like you've got a great program that you and your professor is part of. Paula says, and hello, Paula, you need a large print monitor.
I'm working on it. Yeah. Right now I'm working on a monitor.
Oh, Paul, hope you're doing well. Nanda from Norway. Hey, great to see you again, Nanda. Thanks so much for tuning in via LinkedIn. Gary's with us, of course. We can't do a live stream without Gary. I hope this finds you well. Lurking.
There she is.
Lurking. That's right.
There she is.
In the shadows. It is Donna Creachy. Great to have you here, Donna. So neat here. Michael Bledsoe from Chicago. Jeffrey is with you. All right. So let's see here. Gary, and so we posed that question, right? We're going to read through some of these responses. And Greg, I know you want to weigh in as well on this day. And then we're going to bring in our 2 featured guests. We're so pleased to have Allison Krache Giddens and Meaghan Timko. So stay tuned. Gary says, I'd like to honor the secret of my success, my wife of 40 years, Liz Smith. Well, let's honor her, Gary. Wonderful. Thanks so much for mentioning Liz. Peter Bolet. Hello, Peter. My mom, my sisters, my fiance, and all my daughters, my girls soccer players that have all enriched my life in ways I cannot effectively express. Well said. I thought that was pretty effective. Much more effective than I could put together, Peter. Well done. Let's see here. We're going to keep AA is with us. From where, Greg?
Wichita, ICT. Go Shocks.
That is the airport code, isn't it?
That's a call sign, yeah. Yeah.
Call sign. Air capital of the world. He says, hi from Wichita. I would like to honor my doctor, mother, PhD, student life partner, and my 14-year-old inspiring Karate Kid daughter.
Man, don't let her watch Cobra Kai.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
Stupid show.
Oh, no.
It got renewed for some reason. Anyway, sidebar.
Well, I got to ask you, since you mentioned that, have you watched Coming to America 2?
I haven't. I've heard really mixed reviews on it. So one of my partners at Kubera, Balaji Gopinath, he's a huge movie buff. Every time I talk to him, he trips me up with movie trivia. And he referred back to the original. Then he gave me a review on the second one, and kind of a mixed review. Have you watched it?
Yes. And
what'd you think?
No comment, my friend. No, I don't want to rile any. Well, so I'm a fan of the first one. Amanda's a huge fan of the first one. She can quote just about everything. And I won't speak for her, but we love the first one much better than the second one. So, but it's a classic. How can you outdo a classic? It's very tough to do. It's like trying to
Okay, so back to the old means of doing it. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh man, let's see what Donna has to say about.
Oh man, it's not like Eddie Murphy's going to come and there you go. He's not going to come and beat you up.
He might. All right. So Donna says, regarding Women's Day, I want to honor the first female Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor. It's a good one. I had the pleasure of interviewing her years ago. In spite of her amazing credentials, she endured so much when she was confirmed as the first woman on the high court. Yet she carried out her duties with wisdom and grace and paved the way for so many others. Though retired, she gives back with an initiative that promotes our young people learning civics. I didn't know that. so they understand how their government works, and the rest of that comment is cut off. That's a great one, Donna, and probably one that is overlooked now that, since she left the court years ago. So that's a great call out there. Let's see here. Peter, back to the Mustang, says the 2012 convertible here. Zoom, zoom. I guess he's got a convertible sports car. Peter, you have to give us a picture. Donna owned a 64.5 Mustang. Kelly references the 64.5.
Long story. There's always a long story tied to one of those cars. And I wish I had it now moment, I'm sure.
That's right. Gary has an interesting comment here. Today's best practice is tomorrow's table stakes. Gary, you're getting great with those snackables. I want to completely rip that one off, Gary. Aaron, great to see you. So glad you're here via LinkedIn. Aaron, update us really quick. I know you're matriculating through Morgan State University in the supply chain program. I'm not sure if you've already graduated or you're still getting through. Give us an update if you would, Aaron. Let's see here. Davin's with us. He's going to stick to his Jeep. He says he can still beat Peter in a 2-mile race. And he's letting Peter pick the first mile.
Yeah, I guarantee it's a hill climb.
That is right.
Whatever it is.
Oh, boy. Let's see here. Paula is honoring her stepmom, who is now struggling with Alzheimer's. Our blended family, yours, mine, ours, and other, had 9 children. And I remember going to the grocery store, all of us pushing a cart. What a great memory.
Wow. Looks like a train going through the grocery store.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Rhonda, you're asking about the topic. We're going to touch on a little bit of everything here. We got a couple of great guests that'll be joining us in the conversation momentarily, but we're really we've asked people to kind of share in the comments, given that it's International Women's Day and it's Women's History Month, who would they like to honor, right? And so just like Paula and Gary and AA and many others, shared some of the folks that played a big role in their life, or someone maybe they didn't know personally but made a big impact that they put on a pedestal, we welcome you to share just as well. So, all right. So, Greg, I know you're the proud father of 3 daughters, 3 wonderful daughters, the proud husband of the incredible Vicky White.
Our controller, yes.
That's right. So what are some of the thoughts going through your mind on a day?
Well, I'm going to try and do this without it getting dusty in here, because it does tend to get dusty when I talk about these topics. But look, my history of strong women goes way back. My great-grandmother, Goldie Emma Falk, was a barber in the late 20s, early 30s, which was unheard of and actually illegal in some states when she did that. You could be coiffure or whatever the old term was for that, but could not be a barber. And she was a barber then, divorced in the 30s, a shine runner. Gotta love the initiative. And my grandmother, Freda Imogena Christiansen, Frida Imogene in English sounds much better in Spanish, doesn't it? Who went by Sue, by the way, who is how my middle daughter got her middle name. Don't ask how we got Sue out of that. Also very powerful. She worked in the rental industry for a lot of years, really good accountant and bookkeeper, general fireball, just made things happen. And then, of course, I think I've told the story of how many now meetings and now gatherings that I've been to, and outside the family, one person in particular, my favorite judge ever, Kay Royce, who was a very good friend of my mom's and an outstanding judge and a great role model for me, though she kept telling me to stay out of law. So I did listen. And then, of course, Vicky, who has raised our 3 daughters, Devin, who is shaping and changing and healing the minds and lives of people with her work, our truly essential worker who's never stopped working a single day since COVID struck, Delaney, who I am convinced will someday rule Mars, and Ashlyn, whose drive and passion and intellect and wit who's still in college, but we'll get her wherever she wants to go as well. So, and one thing I want to say that as parents is really important. We've never, with our daughters, it has been sufficient to say, you can do anything. We don't say you can do anything a man can do, or as a woman, you can do anything. We just say you can do anything. No limitations, right? Not as if men are the standard to live up to, or are the bar to which or over which you must reach, any of that. Just you can do anything, and we've driven them to do it. And you know what? I think that presumption that anything is possible without qualification, anything is possible, even though you're a woman, which is sometimes the subtext there. I think that's really damaging. But that expectation at a very young age, imprinting young people with that expectation, both men and women, that this is the way it should be without question or qualification, is really, really important. And I hope that I know that's helped our kids. I hope that message helps future parents anyway.
Yeah, well said. T Squared, who holds down the fort on YouTube, says, if that's not deference, right? In terms of some of your comments there, it's a great point. T Squared, great to have you. Okay, well, Greg, I thought all well said, and it did not get dusty in your home studio, which is good. Sounds like you've got a couple books you could write on your family, and I'm sure about your 3 daughters. But going back, I bet you got some great stories of your great grandmother and others. So we'll have to get to those on a future episode. I want to share one more quick comment here. And hey, the White family, I bet you could sell some great movies, Greg, or some great scripts to power wonderful movies.
It depends on the genre.
Ooh, no comment. All right. So Rhonda says, thanks for the update. I would say I was inspired by Mother Teresa. What a great call out. She showed so much compassion for humanity. I remember her during a tough time in my life, and she gave me hope as a young child and goodness among the world. Excellent,
truly
Rhonda.
Unqualified goodness there, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, speaking of goodness, and Rhonda, that's such a great call out. We've got 2 wonderful friends of the show that are with us here today that despite how much time their quote unquote day job, which do those things even exist anymore?
No, I don't know.
Long gone. But they are just tireless in what they do to help give forward, right? The latest definition of give back, but giving back with purpose, right? And helping others move forward. So love that phrase. So let's welcome in Allison Krache Giddens, President, Wintech Inc., and Meaghan Timko, owner of Parallel. Hey, Allison and Meaghan, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, we're having a blast. Probably having too much fun, as y'all might could tell, in the virtual green room. But there's so much on days like this, and on days like this on so many different levels. You can't get all the recognition out you want to, and you can't share.
Yeah, it's true.
It really is. And that's why these days, though, it kind of bring that little extra focus. It hopefully it causes some conversations to be had that folks can learn from and become more aware of and become more grateful. So I'm so tickled to have y'all both here. Allison, we always have a blast when you join us on the live stream, and Donna is in the comments. We love that. And
did you catch that, Allison? Did you see her?
Do I have to behave now? Do I have to behave?
I don't think so, because we can keep her from coming on the air. So you pretty much got free reign. Now, after the fact, we cannot intervene in family matters.
You do not take responsibility for
it. That's right. Okay. That's right. Got to draw the line somewhere.
That's right. Our lawyers require us to. So, Allison and Meaghan, let's get to know y'all both a little bit better. We're going to be talking leadership. We're going to be talking role models. We're going to be talking about an outstanding virtual internship program that y'all founded and are leading. So, right. Allison, let's start with you. You're not new to the show. You're one of our earliest interviews. You're one of our regular interviews. It's always a pleasure to have you. For folks that 2 or 3 folks out there that may not know Allison, tell us about yourself.
Sure. So thanks for having me back. It's always a good time, whether it's making faces in the green room or coming on to make the faces. I am co-president of Wintech, an aerospace machine shop located in Kennesaw, Georgia, for those familiar with the Atlanta area, not too far away. And on the side, I'm just kind of big into, I see now my mother has commented. Okay, that's good.
That's okay. We're going to give you a chance to make some brownie points here in just a second, Allison.
Okay, good. And then, so on the side, I do a lot of community stuff, including volunteer with the Dave Creachy Foundation, an organization that I founded to help kids play sports when their parents can't afford the fees. So along with that, and I know we'll talk about it later, but the AMVI creation and then the evolution into different communities has been a lot of fun.
Love it. And lead a growing manufacturing organization and donates a pallet every once in a while to help a couple of folks that haven't wrapped a pallet in decades get out to a trade show. Allison, I wish we had videotape of us trying to get that pallet from.
What makes you think I haven't pulled security footage?
Oh
no.
Oh gosh, that was a tough day.
There you go. Now she's going to hold that over you forever.
Oh man. All right. So Meaghan, it's been great to meet you through the virtual internship program that we'll touch on here momentarily, but tell us a little about yourself.
So I'm the owner of Parallel. It's based here in Atlanta, Georgia, but we work internationally doing strategic transition planning and neurodiverse workforce development. That's my day job, as you said, which seems to stretch through all hours of the day and night.
Right.
But then on the side, because I have a lot of extra time, I'm an assistant scoutmaster with the Boy Scouts of America, and I do a lot of community work with McKenna Farms Therapy Center and communities in schools.
Wow.
McKenna Farms, are you serious? So Delaney, my middle daughter, used to work out there all the time.
I'm very serious. I'm the vice chair of the board of directors.
Oh, wow. I don't know when that would have been. Boy, we put some work into that place out there, getting it dolled up. What a great practice that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Small world.
I think notable also is that you founded an all-female Boy Scout troop.
I
correct?
did.
Or Scout troop, right?
Yes. We had the first charter in the Atlanta Area Council.
That's awesome.
Man.
So I have two daughters who are both scouts, and they are very outdoorsy, and they love to just go out there and chop down trees and climb mountains. And that's what we do as a family. So it was a very natural thing for us to do. And it's been wonderful.
I could have used your girls this weekend. Have they ever used a chainsaw?
They have. Yes.
Good.
I have to learn how
There's still a chance.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk after the show.
Absolutely.
So I want to share a couple comments, and then we're going to talk leadership with you both. So John Perry says 3 daughters, and you still have a full head of hair, Greg White. Excellent. Gary is very perceptive.
Gray hair, but yes.
Greg, what happened to the palate? Gary asks.
Okay, hold on just a second. Sorry, this is very unprofessional, but
the real
not
stuff.
Unexpected. Right.
I was going to say it just ended up as artwork behind me.
Yeah. Allison, I'm looking at that now. Very nice. You did that
All
yourself.
right, Gary. Just for you, Gary. There it is. That thing's in pretty sad shape, isn't it, Allison?
Oh,
See
love
that?
it.
Broken.
Yeah. I told you to return it when you were done, the way that you found it.
They don't. So this is one of the sustainability issues of retail. They don't want it back, right? In fact, that is the palette of a second kind of little spa that we ordered. They didn't want us to return the first one. So imagine that. So, Facebook Marketplace, but recycle, right? Reuse. But I'm left with the palette still. So anyway, I need much better looking ones, which Allison, I know we negotiated earlier. So we do need to have that taco dinner and get hold of some of your old palettes.
Pallets get so much attention here within supply chain folks. There's something about pallets that we just gravitate to. But let me share this call out from AA. Because on a serious note, well said, Greg, without question and qualification. That's how we were raised by my mother, and that's how we raise our daughter and everything in between. Great call out there, AA. Okay, so let's talk leadership for a second. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to my checkbox here. Boy Scouts, pallets. Now we're going to talk leadership. So, we all have different approaches, right? Maybe some common themes in our approaches to leadership, and some very unique themes. So, Meaghan, I'm gonna stay with you for a second. What's a couple of things that you really embrace and is really important when it comes to your approach to leadership?
I've always been a really big fan of leading with empathy. I work in a world where there's a lot of things that people don't understand. And so I found that in those misunderstandings often is lack of understanding and fear that something's going to go wrong or that we're not going to do the right thing. And there's on both sides of every story. And so if I listen and I'm empathetic that the fear can get out of the way, and if I listen that, everyone's got a story, it often opens a door to communication and everybody benefits.
Well said. Everyone does. So it came up last night. We did a live stream with Rachel and Tara, and we kind of focused on content. And we were asked, how can you encourage folks to find their voice? Well, first off, everyone has a voice, just like everyone has a story, and really changing that mindset to embrace it and know that you not only do you have a story and a voice, but it's one that deserves to be heard. And I think there's a relevant theme there to leadership too, because I think in my earliest days, I think when you embrace that inner leader, right, and know that you can lead like the next person, I think that's everyone finds that moment and that certain day in their leadership journey. So, and then of course, empathy, we can't get enough empathy. Well said there, Meaghan. Allison, how about you? I've been fortunate. Meaghan's a newer friend, but I've known you for quite some time. I've seen you in action. I love it. And I bet I might can answer for you, but I'm gonna let you answer because you're the featured guest.
Now I'm in trouble. I kind of think I look at things in three different ways. To be grateful is really important, I think, as a leader, which kind of spokes into never ask someone to be a part of your group and to be a part of something you're leading if you yourself wouldn't do what you're asking them to do. And then to laugh. I mean, I think if you can't keep it entertaining and you can't keep it fun, then it's probably not worth doing. Because then you're not going to show your passion through it.
Says the humorist. By the way, I love Allison. Allison, by the way, if you don't follow her or if you're not connected to her on Facebook or LinkedIn, you're missing out. You and Donna both. We laugh regularly at your themes and your observations on life.
Yeah, but usually I have to get it filtered. I have to look at my husband and say, I'm about to post this. Is that appropriate? And he will often say, maybe change this word or maybe not use that adjective. So.
I love it. All right. So one more thing I'm gonna before I turn it over to Greg as we walk into a couple of things. Allison, I think one of the things having rubbed elbows with you is that you're all about action. And that is one of my favorites. It's one of our favorites here. No lip service, right? You got to do it, and that's a big part of your approach as well. I'm going to share this comment from Rhonda, and then Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you. Rhonda says, important for everyone to feel valued and have an opportunity to contribute to success. Glad to see a little more of this happening across all industries. Times were very different just 5-10 years ago. I agree. 2 years ago, maybe. And you know what? Times need to be different right now in many sectors and industries. So, Greg, with that, where are we going next?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a great segue, right? The theme of this year's International Women's Day is choose to challenge, right? So, strangely, I keep going to Delaney. Not that she's my favorite, but her middle name or her first name actually means challenger in Gaelic. So there's a lot of kind of circularity around this day for her. And of course, both of our other daughters as well. I don't know why I keep going back to her, but when you select that word, I mean, I think, we've talked about how we've tried to instill values in our daughters and this notion of choosing to challenge. But when you think about that, first of all, I'd love for each of you, and Meaghan, let's start with you, to identify a few, 1, 2, however many you feel is fitting, of role models that have really impacted you, and maybe what your perspective on International Women's Day or building equality or whatever is.
Yeah. So I sort of work in that space, in the equality space, but in a really unconventional way. We think of equality as women or demographics, and the kind of equality I work in is sort of people who think differently. And so, thinking about challengers, I'm always challenging people's belief of diversity, and are you really operating in a diverse manner if you're not including people who think differently than you? And so a lot of the opposition that I come up with is, well, we can't do that. And so I say, oh, but you can, you just don't know how to yet. And, that to me is probably my greatest achievement, but also my daily, in my 24-hour day job, something that I have to combat. Is just changing belief systems and challenging belief systems so people redefine what being included is.
So as you have been quite the leader in doing this. I really am still stunned about the McKenna Farms thing. But you've been quite a leader in terms of neurodiverse, or what do we want to call it?
Neurodiversity is
people's, right? And organizations. But tell us about, who has really guided you to, how did you get into all of these sort of leadership positions? Who have you used as role models to lift you up?
I think a lot of people helped me. I grew up in a situation where I didn't have a lot. And so when you don't have a lot, you get real scrappy, and you find out how to open doors all on your own. But when you do that, a lot of people start to recognize something in you that wants to achieve more. And so those people started to come to me as I sort of started to, flex my scrappiness. And I was really grateful. At the time, I didn't understand what it meant because I didn't have a lot of, I didn't know a lot. When you come up with nothing, you don't know what you don't know. And so those people came to me and helped me understand what I didn't know little by little over the years. My mom and I went to college at the same time. And, there's a big story behind that, but so we went to college at exactly the same time. And I watched her, ford this just crazy river of, she had 4 kids. She was in college. I was in college. And I looked at her and I said, okay, if she can do this, I can do this. Just because I don't have resources or finances doesn't mean that things aren't available to me. I just have to find a new way to get them. And so I looked at her and really watched her go from, she was 46 years old when she went to college.
Cool.
And that's when her career started. And so it's always helped me understand that I can do more, and I can do more with the support of the people around me. And I've just been really fortunate to have people come into my life in seasons or sometimes longer to help me understand still those things I don't understand.
That's fantastic. I think that constant learning spirit is really critical. And I won't go into it, but I can, because I easily could, but I shouldn't, because as Scott has said, keeps reminding me, you are the guest of honor here. I can completely empathize of coming from virtually nothing. So, and I get that, and I still see that. And I think you probably see that and seek that, I'm guessing, with some of the people that you work with as well. Is that a fair estimation?
It's a fair estimation. I think in a sense, every time I help someone, I'm helping a younger version of myself. Because when you don't have the tools in your toolkit to do something, you don't realize it, no matter who you are. And so you're sort of waiting there, sort of like hanging out in the universe, just hoping somebody comes along with a tool that you don't know what it is, but you need it. And so I find a lot of intrinsic motivation in that. And I also think that, as a society, it's our job to do this for people, especially when you've achieved a lot. We have to be giving, or would you say paying it forward or giving it forward. If somebody's shown you that magical tool, whatever it is, you get it. And then your job is to pass it along again.
Well, and you, as having experienced that, are probably best equipped to help people in your similar situation, right? It's a very cosmic, circular dynamic. So, you ascend to where you need to be to serve humanity. So
I think so.
Congratulations.
Everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Allison, so we know what you better say about your role models, but aside from the obvious, since mom's listening, aside from the obvious, I mean, who has kind of helped shape you, or that you've used as a guidepost to kind of help you become the incredible leader that you are? And then kind of your perspective on the whole International Women's Day, or generally the kind of equality movement.
I really think, and I know you said I don't have to say it, but I will anyways. No, my mom really was number one and still is number one in terms of badass women. Can I say badass? Is that a thing I can say on here?
Well, you can. Now you've said it twice, so she might as well say it a third time.
Okay, well, when the FCC. Okay, so yeah, she's definitely number one role model. I mean, she was always somebody who was working full time, raising kids, and making it. And there were no complaints. And as a kid growing up, you never. I never picked up on any complaint that she gave about that. But between my mother-in-law, she has taught me, she's awesome. Like, I lucked out. She's got a heart of gold. And so I've kind of, in an interesting way, over the last 15 years, I've gotten to kind of pick up on some of that. Both my grandmothers were incredible women in their own ways, very different women, very different times. And they're incredible. And then I think as my career has evolved, I've learned to appreciate different women in my similar industry and then peripheral industries, and for different reasons. Like Shan Cooper, who was general manager at Lockheed Martin for a while, and then she went to West Rock, and now she's over Atlanta Regional Commission. She is like, she's my hero. It's probably sketchy how much I stalk her on LinkedIn and stuff. And she knows this, so it's not really hiding that, but she's amazing. People like, now I'm just now getting to know through, whether it be LinkedIn or virtual organizations and industry groups. I'm just learning a lot about the cybersecurity community in manufacturing. And I mean, if you think there aren't many women in manufacturing, yeah, there aren't too many of those in cybersecurity either. So it's been really cool to see the rock stars involved in those industries as well. I think just the overall, the challenge, the concept of the challenge idea, I've really been inspired by the male alloys. Alloys? Wow, I'm in the manufacturing industry. Really, the alloys involved with aluminum and men. No.
There are some men who would be better as aluminum.
Well, we've all come across them. But no, the male allies, I think, have been really integral to this process and to this conversation. I am so lucky to have, I keep saying I'm so lucky, and I know whatever it is, fortune favors the whatever. But my co-president, John Hudson, is the kind of person who they always say, find somebody to speak your name in a boardroom when you're not there. Mm. And he is that person. And thank God his wife is awesome. And I think she's taught him well. But no, so I think it's important to have those kind of men. My husband is very supportive and patient. He's got to be to put up with me. But there are different people and different communities within women in industry that I think we need to tap into. They're there. They want to be a part of this conversation.
All right, I got to share this from her husband, Matt, who's also with us in the comments. Her husband is an alloy. That's why she keeps tripping up on that.
Well, but that's because he's a metal music fan. So I think he's getting the metals confused.
David, I'm with you. Allison keeps it coming. He said, let's see, fortune favors the whatever.
that was on, I think.
Is it the bold? I think it's the bold, right?
Confucius says that. I think said that.
And AA, add me to your fan club, he says to you, Meaghan. So a lot of good stuff there. All right. So where are we going next, Greg?
Well, let's talk about AMV, the Advanced Manufacturing, virtual internship, right? This is how we get young people into manufacturing, but together, the two of you have kind of expanded its reach as well. So tell us a little bit about that. First of all, how did it start and what's it all about foundationally, and then how you've evolved it?
Sure. So back last March, April, May, with the pandemic, WinTech recognized we were not going to be able to bring a couple of interns in live. So we migrated, evolved. I don't like the word pivot, so I'm not going to use it. We changed so that we were going to be a virtual internship, and we were going to expand it to 12 students. So it was an absolute hit. It was 12 high school students, juniors and seniors, all Metro Atlanta. Just kind of happened. It was different connections of people that came together. We brought on Scott to talk about supply chain. Thank you so much, Scott. We had all different kind of conversations with people in manufacturing and the peripheral industries. And I got talking to Meaghan about it, who had just gotten done with a lot of challenges on her end in her industry. And she said, why can't we do this for neurodiverse? And I said, I think that makes sense. Let's do this. And kind of, Meaghan, talk about your train of thought, because I just remember that conversation of us on the phone with each other, like, we could do this.
Yes, I was pivoting in that moment. And so I'm going to use the word. I was pivoting the biggest couch around the corner in the stairway that I could possibly do. I had been on a really amazing project at a university here in Atlanta, and COVID unfortunately ended it, but I had done a tremendous amount of research and field work understanding the unique challenges that the neurodiverse community faced in finding jobs. And so when I was left with all of this research and all of this information, but nowhere to really execute on it, I went to Allison, who I would call actually a peer mentor of mine. And I said, I have all of these ideas, but I don't really know what to do, but you know what to do with a lot of things. So what do you think about this? And we kind of just kept going back and forth talking over the summer and into the fall. And the conversation naturally went to, okay, AMVI would work with this. This is about matching talent and work together. And that's what I essentially am trying to do, is take talented individuals who want to work and plug them into places who need talented individuals. And so we didn't do that much tweaking, I don't think. It really was about talking to the speakers and helping them understand why we were doing this. But the first iteration was just amazing. And I think it worked exactly like we talked about in terms of creating opportunity, getting people talking about neurodiversity in the workplace, and really just broadening the idea that the workplace can work to benefit some societal problems like lack of opportunity in the neurodiverse community.
Meaghan, will you do our community a favor and just define for them neurodiverse, just so they're clear on that particular?
Sure. So neurodiverse individuals typically have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, or dyslexia or Tourette's. And so the area that I usually focus on is individuals with autism spectrum disorder.
Great, thank you. That's helpful. So, I mean, I think that obviates the fact that you could see where that could cause some impact in terms of finding employment, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us about some of the results or feedback. I know you've had some amazing feedback from both of these efforts. So tell us a little bit about that. Allison, you want to start?
I think the initial feedback, so right when we kicked off the program, we had kind of a powwow with all the speakers in advance. And we just said, here's what neurodiversity is defined as. Here's what to expect. Anyone that had been on our high school version, you might get some different questions, or you might have different reactions. Be prepared for, different kinds of questions that might throw you off if you weren't otherwise expecting them. And we wanted to make this very accessible and not intimidating to anybody, because that's not the purpose of it. We prepped the students ahead of time. We were very careful on saying, here's what to expect out of the program. So we laid the groundwork there, because I know I like to have everything very structured in terms of what to expect. I'm not a big fly by the seat of your pants, even though I can wing it because I'm told that I'm full of it sometimes. So there was that aspect to the organization of the program itself. And the initial feedback we got from, I was floored, was by the speakers. Like, we would have people email us or contact us afterwards and say, that was incredibly rewarding. This crew asked such good questions, and they were engaged. They were passionate. They were excited. And then this past weekend wrapped up the program, or this first inaugural version of the program. And the emails were good from these students. I was forwarding to Meaghan. Meaghan was forwarding to me saying, we're going to start crying again. We're going to start crying again, just because they were so good. The last line of one of the students was, I'm going to find a job that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed his name. It's like, heck yeah, you are.
That's awesome. That is incredible. And so the plan is to continue these programs. So now, Meaghan, are they in parallel? Are they conjoined, or how do you kind of attack this?
I would say Allison and I talk about that a lot, and I would say it's in partnership. So WinTech and Parallel are in partnership. We need both sides of this to push it forward. So you need people who are informed in the community, the neurodiversity community, and you need partners in the corporate world, because the workers live in one place and the work lives in the other. So it's a natural partnership to me.
We've talked a lot too about expanding this into, so we had the AMVI for high school students in summer, and that looks like one thing. And the intent there is different. The intent there is expand on students already understood kind of concepts of engineering and manufacturing. The AMVI for neurodiverse, it's almost got more layers to it. So it's not just to expose them to basics, but it's to introduce them to subject matter experts, get them excited about things maybe they didn't know existed, maybe they didn't know it was an option for them. It's also to show these professionals, look, you have a whole talent pool of people you didn't even know existed.
Right.
It's this constant, it's just lots of different layers. And Meaghan and I have talked about, if there's anybody listening to this podcast right now that might be interested in picking up the AVI that shortened, we took the manufacturing out for those who don't want the manufacturing one. AVI, if they want the AVI to be incorporated, whether it's their industry, whether it's their company, if they see it like an onboarding opportunity for a certain group of individuals. But these are all things that we're more than happy to talk to anybody about. It's open source concept, but there's an aspect to the consulting that Parallel can help with this community. And I mean, it would pay itself back tenfold for anybody looking to invest in something like this.
So I love that. I want to share this really quick from Rhonda. She taught adaptive PE and health back in the day. This is so touching, ladies. So this might be a great connection to get the three of y'all together. She also says adaptive PR, aka special needs students with EIPs back in the 90s. I'm not sure what ERPs are. And one
Learning intervention program.
Okay. This comes from Amanda.
Education. Sorry, not earning educational.
Loving the attention being brought to these neurodiverse hiring initiatives. And Robinson with Canaxis posted a great article about it the other day, something I had never even thought about, but an initiative that is so beneficial for the people looking for jobs and the company partners looking for talent in a pool of potential candidates that, Allison, as you said, they may have not have ever known they existed, or maybe they're thinking about that segment of the workforce differently, which is probably an awareness opportunity for so many. Allison.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Scott, you actually spoke to one of Allison's groups. And you've been sitting there very quietly and patiently and observantly, but I know you had some great feedback. So can you share that from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it's really important when you go and speak to students, regardless of type of school, type of program, type of initiative, is really not to embrace any kind of assumptions. And my experience is really bolsters that belief, because I've spoken to 2 sessions, as bright as they come, as bright, as engaged. I think Allison used the word passionate, inquisitive, all of that stuff. And really, I probably, I try to PowerPoint them I brought too many slides, right? Because I want to go through so much stuff, right? But they had so many great questions. And Greg, as we've talked about numerous times here, when someone asks a great question, that speaks so much to kind of their mindset and if they're with you or not. And I hope I could answer some of these great questions. But yeah, wonderful experience, and really it's so neat to see this thing growing and how much, all the many more lives that you are going to be touching and changing and impacting to get more emails like Allison just shared. This is such great work, folks.
Scott, it was cool to see, like, when you or any of the other speakers, when you were engaging with the students and answering their questions, it was a lot of fun. Meaghan, did you pick up on this too, where you could almost see the wheels turning and you could see the connections starting to be made? Because I'm really big with systems thinking and connecting the dots and seeing that, we don't all, this is not a silo thing. You don't, oh, you're in supply chain, that's all you're in. No. There's a lot of stuff that you're in. So it was really cool to see that. And as you were talking about pandemic shortages and kind of bringing that concept to them, it was like, oh yeah, I do remember the whole toilet paper thing. I mean, they were on it, man.
Yeah. Well, some potential supply chain professionals in that group, undoubtedly. And hopefully we can come back. Greg, I would love to get you in front of these students as well. We'll have to see if we can't do that maybe one of these next sessions. But
That'd be
I'm
fun.
not sure I should be shaping the future.
It'd be great. It'd be great. So I want to make sure because it's amazing how fast
I know, right?
How can folks? I'm hoping there's going to be folks out there listening or watching this, and they want to get involved. They want to benchmark with you or support you in some manner. How can folks connect on the AVI initiative?
They get a hold of either Meaghan or I. I think our LinkedIn posts, our LinkedIn profiles are in the show notes. But definitely look us up. There's also advanced manufacturing. There's also the advancedvirtualinternship.com. And that will kind of help you segue. It'll help you figure out, do you go the manufacturing route or do you want to go other and kind of explore and do different things? And I can definitely help point you in the direction for the manufacturing stuff. And Meaghan is kind of spearheading the neurodiverse side and helping to branch that out in the evolution as this grows. But definitely happy to talk to anybody about it.
Awesome. So, but wait, Greg,
There's more.
So this Dave Creachy Foundation really just, it blows my mind because, I didn't even think about, this was in my blind spot in terms of the type of need folks have, helping kids be kids. Right. So, Allison, we can't do this justice in a couple of minutes, but I want to make sure we keep this in front of folks because the Dave Creachy Foundation, talk about a need. Y'all have helped over 900 kids now cover the fees they need to get out there and be athletes and to be kids, right?
Yep. It's a lot of kids over 12 years, 901 out of Metro Atlanta. We help kids play sports. It's all fitting, especially now that we're in baseball season. So this is all very, we just had an NBA All-Star game yesterday. So we're finally getting back to normalcy, I feel, with the sports angle. So this, the organization's been around, like I said, 2012, I think was when we started. But we've got a great board of directors helping us kind of pave what's next. Check us out online. We've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Awesome. DaveCreachy.com if you want to get involved there.
Can you donate on the site, Allison?
Yes. In fact, there's 4 fun and easy ways. PayPal, Venmo, Click and Pledge. And then there's something else too. I think you can send checks. So lots of fun ways.
Can you share with our audience what a check is, Allison?
It is a approximate 6 inches by 3 inches piece of paper.
Oh gosh, DaveCreachy.com. That's Dave KRACHE.com. Y'all check that out and support it if you can. Great cause. I mean, talking about hammer, meet, nail, action. I mean, it goes straight to helping these kids get plugged back in and afford things and afford experiences that they otherwise would go without. So love that. The Atlanta Braves have they've recognized Allison and the foundation for what they've been doing. It's just one of those neat practical examples, Greg.
Yeah,
giving forward, right?
Well, it's a great way for those scrappy people who come from nothing, like Meaghan and me, to have the opportunity to do something. Because without it, I mean, I know that without helping hand, I wouldn't have been able to get into athletics. So I really empathize with that, and I think it's a great opportunity because what a way to lift up you and your family, but to be able to, to be able to capitalize on your physical gifts, sometimes to even help you get schooling, right? So there's a way in for everyone, and the more ways we can get people in, the better. Agreed.
DaveCreachy.com. Okay, so we are going to make sure, folks, we've got Meaghan and Allison's LinkedIn profile in the show notes. One click is what we're always after. But if there's another way, any other advice for getting in touch about AVI, Dave Creachy Foundation, or just both of y'all, is LinkedIn the best path?
Yeah. Do you want me to give out my cell phone number?
No. I'm going to suggest that you don't. We've had some bold salespeople do that before.
No, totally joking. LinkedIn is great.
This is really neat. Really admire what both of y'all are doing. Meaghan, it's so neat to meet you through Allison and be a very small part of y'all's initiative. We hope to connect more and turn more folks on to what y'all are doing to really, let's face it, change lives. And that's a very real thing. So thank you to you both. Allison Giddens, of course, co-president with WinTech, and Meaghan Timko, owner of Parallel. Thanks so much to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You bet.
Thank you.
See ya.
Man, Allison and Meaghan could, if we, much like, I can't remember the last time we shared this, but if we just hook them up to this city's electrical grid, I think they could power from goodwill, rapport, give forward. It would power, city blocks on end, Greg.
Well, clearly, I mean, look, I can really only speak personally about the McKenna Farms program, which is, it's kind of, think of it as kind of horse therapy. It started out as kind of horse therapy for neurodiverse kids. But I mean, my daughter actually won a gold medal at the Special Olympics with her partner. And what an incredible and joyous day. I still think about that day. And, and that place was like 4 miles, maybe not even that from our house, still is. And what an incredible opportunity. It was fun to actually go drop her off, pick her up, and watch them work. And something Meaghan said really hit home, that I can't do that. And they did such a fantastic job of training their therapists or partners or volunteers, whatever they were called, to say, no, you can do it. You can do it. And to help these kids be lifted up. And what an incredible moment when a kid gets to win a gold medal at anything. It's just, it's fascinating. So.
Agreed. Really appreciate the feedback, Gary and Anna Mary. I really appreciate that. Thanks for all the comments we couldn't get to. I want to leave y'all. This is one of my favorite pictures and phrases that I've come across here lately. The one and only Maya Angelou. When you learn, teach. When you get, give. I mean, words to live by. Is that not, Greg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the image, the joy, the sheer joy in this incredible person and leader and woman and author and you name it. The sheer joy in this image, I love. It's such a great image to go along with these words to live by. Okay, well, Greg, wonderful show here, and this was a different version of the Buzz. Today it's a special day, it's a special time, but these are special leaders that are really making it happen. And that, I'd gladly set aside the news of the day for stories and the
news of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well said, Greg. For stuff like this needs to be heard, needs to inspire others and really challenge others to give forward like Meaghan and Allison are doing. So, your final word before I sign off for the day.
Golly, like most things, I'm inadequate to address this appropriately, but it's inspiring, isn't it? I mean, really, to see, one, that we're in a world now where this sort of recognition is not secondary, it's not begrudging, it's celebrated. I'm sure that my mother is not watching this now. I'm pretty sure she's watching for the Shocks seed in the NCAA tournament. But I she struggled so hard, and I watched her do it to try and get just equal acknowledgement and equal pay, and some of the foundational things that we're still fighting for these days. But we have come so far, and we are trying harder than ever before. And we are, more importantly, and most importantly, we are not accepting the inequality and the obfuscations and the hurdles that keep us from getting to equality. And I think that is, that bodes well for us going forward. And what I love about this particular conversation is we didn't have any of that conversation. We just talked about what you can do. Right? We just talked about what you can do to contribute. And I think when we get to that point at any stage or in any conversation, we have reached another level. So
well said. Andrea says a great comment here. They need to get worldwide. There are so many countries that don't have this kind of special help for kids. hey, we talked about that pre-show with Allison, and we'll have to have her back on. I think they're experiencing so much growth and interest. I think there's a great opportunity to take it international. So we'll see. Great point.
You can do anything with enough time and enough money. So give.
That's right. All right. So everyone, hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Hope you have a wonderful day here today, International Women's Day. Make sure you pick up the phone and call that special person and let them know how grateful you are for their contributions to your journey. So big thanks. Greg's got to do it right now.
Hey, Mom.
Big thanks to all of our wonderful community members in the comments. Loved your comments. Love your shout outs. Big thanks, of course, to Allison and Meaghan. Of course, a huge high five to Amanda. Congrats. We'll see you here shortly. And Clay and Natalie and all of the folks behind the scenes making conversations like this happen. Hey, check us out at supplychainnow.com. And hey, on behalf of our entire team here, do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. Be just like Allison and Meaghan. On that note, we'll see you next time here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.